All right, here we go. Hello, everybody. This is your favorite Bronze Age comic book podcast. This is your co-host, Mike L. And as always, I'm joined by...
Michael Dell of the LCS Hockey Radio Show.
That's right. And this week, once again, I don't know what the heck is going on, but Mike Dell has chosen a DC comic book.
Yes. Yeah.
What's going on here, Mike?
This is the second and final DC book I will ever select.
Okay.
I wanted to get them out of the way.
Oh, yeah.
But when I was a kid, I remember the Justice League run that I had, and then I remembered this, the All-Star Squadron, number 3, from 1981. And I had like the first 4 or 5 issues of All-Star Squadron back then.
Okay. Really?
I remember, I haven't read these issues since I was like 6 years old or whatever, 5, 6 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, so I had no memory of the story itself. I just remember there's a lot of heroes and a lot of villains.
Okay.
And Solomon Grundy was involved. I love Solomon Grundy. And there's like the Justice Society heroes of DC. And this was Earth 2. Okay. I was always an Earth 2 guy.
Sure.
So that's what I remember. And then I went back and I read the issue for this episode. Mm-hmm. And yeah.
We'll just leave it at that. All right.
I mean, it's fine. It's written by Roy Thomas and Rich Buckler. And they also created the All-Star Squadron. So what do you know about the All-Star Squadron, Michael? First, let's get some background, because I'm sure some people have never heard of this book.
So, I mean, we're going to skip talking about Earth 2, because we've already talked about that, right?
Yes. A lot of Earth. It's basically an alternative version of Earth, our Earth. And there's the heroes are like old school versions of Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman.
Right.
Heroes from the 1940s. Basically.
Right. Specifically to explain how these characters could exist in World War II when obviously, if you pick up a Batman comic today, Batman is not 100 years old, right? So that's why they created this. But, okay, so now, so I have to give a little tiny backstory. So the Justice Society was brought back in the 1960s in crossovers where every year the Justice League, which is Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, etc., they would team up with the Justice Society from Earth 2, who consisted of, like we said, World War II versions of Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, but also, Dr. Fate, the Spectre, Black Canary, etc. And so that went on for about maybe...
Well, let me ask you this, Michael.
Yep.
When you say they teamed up in crossovers, so this was like an annual event they did, kind of like, Atlantis Attacks or whatever?
Exactly. Every year there'd be usually a 2-part crossover where they would go to Earth 2 or they would come to Earth 1, and then eventually there was Earth 3, right, with the Crime Syndicate of America. Yeah.
Okay, so another question.
Sure.
When you say it's like a crossover, do you mean like in the regular title of Superman, there'd be one issue where he'd go there and then there'd be another one in Batman, or there would just be like a special like 2-issue annual kind of thing? I shouldn't
say crossover. You're right. It's more like an annual event where usually it'd be 2 issues of Justice League would be a 2-part story where they would hang out with the Justice Society.
Okay, I see.
And then over time, in I think it was the mid-'70s, they decided, well, why don't we just bring back the Justice Society and give them their own series? And so instead of calling it the Justice Society, they made it as confusing as possible, and they revived the series that they were appearing in the 50s, which was called All-Star Comics.
Yes.
Right? So as you know, there was Detective Comics, Action Comics, Sensation Comics, and there was also All-Star Comics, and that featured the Justice Society. So they picked up the numbering, I think it was number 58, and they just said, okay, well, now we're going to continue the adventures of the Justice Society in like 1977. So by this point, since these guys all started in World War II, like we said, Superman had gray hair, Batman was old, Wonder Woman had gray hair, blah, blah, blah. And so that went on for a couple of years. And then Roy Thomas had the idea. He thought, well, why don't we go back and do stories about the Justice Society in World War II at their prime. But instead of calling the book Justice Society, we'll bring all of the Golden Age DC superheroes together in a big team, and we'll call it All-Star Squadron. So this is an example of a concept that Roy Thomas, by the way, invented, called retconning. Where
That's right.
Yeah, where they would actually go back and sort of retell old stories or tell in-between stories that would retroactively alter continuity. And that's what this is, All-Star Squadron.
Yeah, retroactive continuity, retcon. And this was, Roy Thomas came to DC, this is 81. He about 79 or 80, he went from Marvel to DC, I believe.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And Jerry Conway was one of the guys that brought him over.
Okay.
And I guess at Marvel, he did a World War II story called The Invaders.
That's right. That's right. Which was, I think, the same thing. I thought Invaders was an old 40s thing, but I think he created it. Yeah.
Yeah. So he wanted to do a sort of a similar thing here about World War II, but bring in, because he said his big question was, if all these heroes were around during the 1940s, why didn't they prevent Pearl Harbor?
Right.
So this story that we will read today explains why Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and the Justice League or Justice Society weren't doing anything to prevent Pearl Harbor.
Right.
This explains it.
Right.
So that's something. And we should mention that it started as a special insert in Justice League 193 in August of 1981. And have you read that issue, Michael?
I have. Yes, I read it before, and I skim read it to prepare for this week.
Yes, I did as well. I went through and I read it. But it's a pretty extensive preview they give you in that issue of, you think a preview, 3 pages. No, it's pretty extensive. It's like another issue. They just jam it in there.
Right.
But a lot of the heroes get beat up and stuff, and we'll get into that later. And we mentioned earlier, it's created by Roy Thomas, Rich Buckler, and Jerry Ordway as well, was also listed as one of the creators of All-Star Squadron.
Okay.
And he's the inker on this issue. And he would later become the penciler, right?
Yes, he would. In fact, I was kind of surprised. I thought he was one of the creators. Like, I didn't realize it was Rich Buckler that was there from the beginning. I thought it was Jerry Ordway, but I was wrong.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was all 3 of them. And the title ran for 67 issues in 3 annuals from 1981 to 1987. But then, Michael, they ran into trouble, as DC often does, with continuity.
Right.
So explain what happened then. Do you know?
So, yes, after the Crisis on Infinite Earths, which we've touched on our show.
Sadly.
Earth 1, Earth 2, Earth 3, Earth 5, etc., all of them, they all got merged into one Earth. So because of that, DC could not have 2 Supermans and 2 Batmans and 2 Wonder Womans. And so they just erased them from World War II and just said, okay, those characters started like pretty much now in the 1980s, but we're going to leave most of the rest of the characters alone. And so in the 1940s, you would have had, say, Crimson Avenger and the Sandman and Mr. Terrific and Amazing Man and Tarantula and all these characters. And they were like the Justice Society and the All-Star Squadron and whoever else. And that kind of screwed things up a little bit. And so one of the things they did was they canceled All-Star Squadron and started a new series to replace it called Young All-Stars. Do you know about this?
I just learned about it by researching this, but I had no concept of the Young All-Stars until now.
So what they did was they said, okay, well, there was no Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, but we're going to create like doppelganger fill-ins to replace them and basically say that these guys were actually there all along. And so you've got Iron Monroe for Superman, Flying Fox for Batman. Well,
I know 2 of them.
Yeah.
Dan and Dynamite.
Right.
Which is Batman and Robin.
Right.
And it looks exactly like the ambiguously gay duo.
Right, that's right. You know what's funny? I think those guys are actually from the 40s. I think they just put them in. Yeah, I think they're, yep. And then there was a couple more I'm forgetting.
Yeah,
but anyway, yeah.
They look terrible.
Yeah, they're not great. Oh, yeah, and Fury, the Golden Age Fury. Yeah. And so that went for a couple years, and then they canceled that eventually, too.
Yeah, probably for the best.
Right. Yeah. Although I got to say, one cool thing that came out of Young All-Stars is, have you ever heard of Axis America?
I have not.
those are the Nazi counterparts to like the classic DC characters. So instead of Superman, you have Ubermunch. Instead of Batman, you have the Fledermaus. And they're all these these Nazi German versions of all the characters. It's really cool.
Well, all right, fair enough. So that brings us to this issue. Again, number 3, 1981. The title is The Dooms of Dark December. The Dooms of Dark December. Well, we should talk about it. There's a ton of characters. This is a lot like that Justice League issue we did,
right?
Where we got to go through, because no one's going to know who the hell we're talking about unless we talk about some of these guys. Like right away, Michael, one of these characters is very prominent in this issue. I had no recollection of him at all.
Okay.
I totally put him out of my memory in the past 38 years. But his name is the Shining Knight.
Yes.
He is a very prominent. You love the Shining Knight.
Oh, he's awesome. Yeah, he's great.
He is terrible.
Why?
I so wanted to just tear this issue up when I was reading.
Why?
I don't know. It's just awful. All right, but the Shining Knight is Justin Arthur, and his first appearance was in Adventure Comics 66, 1941, created by Henry Lynn Perkins and Craig Flessel. What can you tell us about those two guys, Michael?
I know nothing. Anyway, next.
But he was a Knight of the Round Table.
Of course he was.
I guess his origin story is he was back there in Camelot. And he wanted to be a Knight of the Round Table, and here he stopped and he protected an old man. He was getting beaten up, getting mugged, and here it turns out that old man was Merlin in disguise.
Okay.
So Merlin, the old wizard, he gave him an enchanted sword that can cut through anything, an enchanted armor that makes him nigh invulnerable, Michael.
To be specific, yes.
He also got a winged horse.
Yes.
Named Winged Victory.
Awesome.
Yeah, well, I guess his horse was Victory, and then Merlin said, "Hey, I'll give him wings." So he said, "Hey, I'll call him a Winged Victory."
Okay.
So then he went and he joined the Knights of the Round Table. And then on one of his missions, he was going to go fight an ogre, because you got to fight ogres. You got to keep them in their place.
Right.
You can't let the ogres just run roughshod over the country.
Yeah.
So when he was fighting this ogre, he fell in an icy crevice, and he got frozen, like somewhat like Captain America, you could say.
Right. Right.
And then he was thawed out in modern day, 1940s, and there he is, the Shining Knight. So you like this guy?
Well, yes, I love this guy. Specifically, I'll tell you why, okay? I think the big difference between the Justice Society and the Justice League is the Justice League are all pretty much, science fiction characters, couple aliens, whatever. The Justice Society has this bizarre mix of like, Shining Knight is from King Arthur, and then you have one guy's a robot, and then you have like it's like they're so like their powers are so weird. Like nowadays you just go, oh well, they're a mutant or they got something spilled on them and now they have powers. But back then it's like I have, I'm blind but I have blackout bombs, or I have superpowers for 1 hour. It's like they're so weird. Like the way that they explain their powers, like I don't know. It's just a bizarre mix of pathetic and kind of like quaint, I guess. I don't know.
I just couldn't take it because I was like, "What? Who the hell is this guy?" And then Roy Thomas writes him like talking like from Camelot and stuff,
right,
with all the vernacular, and it's very annoying. We should describe. He looks like he wears like gold chainmail,
right,
and he has a pointed helmet on his head. He looks very similar to that guy. Do you remember that video game? What was that? Dragon's Lair. You remember that game?
Not really. Maybe if I saw it.
Yeah, it was like a cartoon, like video game kind of.
Okay.
And there was a cartoon of it here in the United States as well. But
I'm sure we got it too. Yeah.
But I'm sure those American listeners, and we have lots of them in the heartland of America, they know what I'm talking about. So that's the Shining Knight, and in this issue, he's got a little sidekick with him. This lady named Danette Riley.
Right.
And that's all we know her as in this issue is Danette Riley. Do you know who she really is, Michael?
I believe she's Firebrand too, correct?
That's correct. She turns into Firebrand. And if you remember, if you listen to our Crisis on Infinite Earths episode, I noticed that one superhero there, this lady, was wearing like a superhero costume on the bottom and then just like a pink blouse on top. Right. That's this lady, Firebrand.
Exactly. Yep.
This is her. And her deal is her first appearance was Justice League 193 in 1981, and she was created by Thomas and Buckler. So
in the preview.
Yeah, that was her first appearance.
Right, cool.
How about that? But basically, she's like Firestar, right? She can just...
yeah. I don't know if she can create fire or control fire, or both. I don't know.
I think she can shoot fire. I don't know.
Okay.
Who cares at this point, really? Who cares? So at this point, though, she's not Firebrand yet.
No.
And then she would later join the All-Star Squadron much later, and she would marry the Shining Knight.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. How about that?
Pretty cool.
Shining Knight getting it done, even all these years later.
Yep.
Yeah. Next, we have the Atom, but this is not the Atom we discussed in the Justice League. What's that guy's name? Ray Palmer?
Yeah. Again, the newer Atom, it has a science fiction background. He can shrink because he's exposed to white dwarf matter. This Atom, what can he do? He can box, I think.
Yeah, he can box. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
I don't understand why he's called the Atom, though.
I think it's because he's just short. He's like 5'2".
Oh, really?
That's why he's called the Atom. Isn't that ridiculous?
Okay, because his real name here is Al Pratt, and his first appearance was All-American Comics 1940, created by Ben Flinton and Bill O'Connor. They're very good. He was a 98-pound weakling who one day bought dinner for a vagrant on the street. But that vagrant, Michael, turned out to be former boxing champ Joe Morgan.
Really?
And in gratitude, Joe Morgan took the Atom or Al Pratt under his wing, and he trained him for 1 year to become a crime fighter. And that's his history. That's it. He's a good boxer.
There you
That's
go.
his ability. I like his costume though. He's got this blue mask he pulls down over his face, so it's just his whole face is blue. And he's got like a cape.
I think his costume is brutal, honestly.
I like the blue mask.
He's got a blue mask, a blue cape, but he's also got bare legs. You have to point that out.
Oh, that is true, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it looks like he shaves them. So what can you do? They all do. It's part of the thing you got to do when you're a hero. But the Atom, I was confused by his name. But yeah, now that you mentioned that, I do seem to recall he's supposed to be really short. It's not, but they don't draw him as short in this issue at all.
Well, maybe it's just the artist, but I think he's supposed to be shorter, just like shorter than average.
But I did not detect that at all.
Pick up on that? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
because he's depicted as like the same size as everybody else. Right. But anyway.
Yeah.
All right, next we got Dr. Mid-Nite. And I should point out that Mid-Nite is spelled MID-NITE.
Yeah.
For some unknown reason. But it's Dr. Mid-Nite. And this is Charles McNider. And his first appearance was All-American Comics 25, 1941, created by Charles Rosenstein and Stan Ashmeyer. I want you to know about all these old creators, Michael.
I don't know. I've never heard of any of these guys. Anyway.
I feel we should give them some, credit, though, They created these people.
For sure.
And his backstory, Michael, is he was a surgeon. He was a doctor.
Okay.
And some people came to him and said, I guess the cops. They said, hey, we got this witness in witness protection, but he's dying. We need you to perform surgery on him so he can testify against this crime boss. And he's like, I'll do it. So he goes racing over to perform surgery. And while he's operating, Michael, one of the mob guys throw a grenade into the operating room. And they blow it up. Everyone in the room dies except for Charles McNider. But sadly, he gets shards of glass into his eyes and he loses his eyesight.
Okay.
Yeah, so now he can no longer be a surgeon. It's a little like Doctor Strange when you think about it in that way.
Yeah, a little bit.
So now he becomes like a crime novelist, a fiction writer, and his trusted secretary, he transcribes the novels to her, and he writes an anti-crime column for the newspaper and stuff. And while he's doing this, Michael, he realizes, he's sitting at home. This is where it gets to be like Batman. He's sitting at home one night, and something comes crashing through the window.
That's right.
It's a wood owl. It's a wood owl.
Okay.
And to see what happened, he takes his bandages off his eyes, and he realizes he can see in nighttime now. He still can't see during the day, but his eyes have adapted. He can see at night. So he adopts this wood owl, and he calls him Hootie. And I'm not joking. This is legit.
Okay.
Quit laughing. This is serious.
Okay.
And he adopts Hootie the Wood Owl as his pet.
Okay.
But doesn't the same thing happen to Bruce Wayne? Like a bat comes flying through the window?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's very similar.
So he realizes he can see at night, and then he creates these goggles, infrared goggles that he lets him see during the day, I guess. And he creates blackout bombs.
Right.
He throws these bombs and they create like black smoke and they absorb all light, so it makes it darkness for everyone around. So that gives him the edge, kind of like Daredevil. Look at this. He's a concoction of all these characters. He can see when no one else can. So that's Captain Mid-Nite. Would you like to describe his outfit for everybody?
Well, the closest thing it resembles is Robin's costume, except he's got the same type of, what do you call that? Like that, like his, not a shirt, but it's like a, you know what I mean? It's like, so what's that thing called that a woman wears to like hold in her, waist? You know what I'm talking about?
Like a girdle?
Kind of. It's kind of like a girdle, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, and he's got little crescent moons on his chest, and then
and one on his forehead too.
Right. And then like a green cape, and then like underneath the girdle is a black bodysuit with like, then he's got blue goggles and then leather gloves and leather boots. It looks like brown.
Yeah, and a black mask covering everything but his nose and mouth.
Right.
But, yeah, Captain Mid-Nite. Or no, Dr. Mid-Nite. I think Captain Mid-Nite would have been better.
Dr. Mid-Nite, yeah. Captain. Ridiculous.
What do you think about Dr. Mid-Nite? Are you a fan?
He's cool looking, but I always just thought his powers were so useless, I mean, seriously.
He can fight in the dark. That's
right.
pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I can forgive all of these Golden Age characters because obviously superheroes were invented like 2 weeks before these guys were. But it's still ridiculous when you think about it, Like when you've got Superman, you'd think you'd go somewhere between no powers and Superman instead of just making everybody be able to like box and like, see at night. It's just so ridiculous, mundane.
Yeah, like a lot of these people, they're just really fit. That's the power.
Right, exactly.
They're athletes.
Right.
So in the 1940s, that was way above everybody else. All right, so the Phantom Lady is next. The Phantom Lady. And I got to say, she has a pretty risque costume for the 1940s.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty, All right, so the Phantom Lady is Sandra Knight. Her first appearance was Justice League 107, 1973. Oh, I guess 1973? Really? This was her first appearance?
No, that can't be right.
Yeah, I had to have written that wrong.
She's originally from the 40s, but maybe she reappeared in
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I get this info off of a DC fandom. I look up the characters.
Okay.
And sometimes they screw up. So, yeah, reading that has to be wrong. Because they screwed up another one, too. I forget who when I'm looking at it. I think Plastic Man they screwed up, too. But anyway. All right, so Phantom Lady. She was created by Arthur F. Petty. He's very good. And she's the daughter of Senator Henry Knight. And I think she thwarts an assassination attempt on him one evening. And she decides to be a crime fighter after that. So she's just really athletic. She studies martial arts. And she has a black light ray, which is very similar to the Dr. Captain Mid-Nite or whatever his name is.
Right.
She shoots this ray at people and they can't see, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, and I'll also point out her actual first appearance is Police Comics #1.
Ah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's from Quality Comics, not from DC.
That's the same thing with the Plastic Man, like I said, because that was his first appearance as well.
Right.
But on that DC fandom site, they screwed it up and they said he was later. So, yeah, I guess they must have been like when they brought him back into continuity or something. But anyway. All right, so that's Phantom Lady. And her costume, Michael, describe this for the people.
Well, it's quite revealing. Essentially, and I actually just looked her up. Apparently, she's a few different versions, but all of them have one thing in common, and that's that they accentuate the size and shape of her breasts, okay? So they're all very revealing. Like, this is arguably the most revealing superheroine costume I've ever seen. The one, you know what I mean? Like, the one here, it's basically, it's a yellow bathing suit, right?
Yeah.
Like, basically, it's just, it's not even like a full shirt.
Yeah, it's cut like a V. It's kind of like Vampirella, her outfit. It's like a V that covers the breasts and goes down to her belly. Yeah, it's very revealing, especially for the 1940s. And she has a cape, and she has like a mask like Robin, like one of them domino masks or whatever they call it.
Yep. Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty something. Yeah, this Phantom Lady. I guess at some point, maybe, I think I read she can turn intangible at some point later in her career.
Yeah, maybe they evolved her powers. I don't know.
Make her more like an actual Phantom Lady.
Right.
All right. Next up, and I should mention, these characters we're discussing here, they're kind of like the core of All-Star Squadron.
Right.
There's about 7 characters who are like the core group, and then, all the other Justice Society guys can come and go as they please. But
yeah, I think they got up to like 30 members because they eventually included every single Golden Age character.
Yeah, it's
the quality. Yeah, so
it's pretty extensive. So next up, we have Hawkman.
Right.
And this is Earth 2 Hawkman, right, Mike? And his first appearance was Flash Comics #1, 1940, created by Gardner Fox and Dennis Neville. Hey, Gardner Fox. We've heard of that.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
His name here is Carter Hall. But would you like to explain his backstory for everybody?
From what I know, he is an archaeologist, right?
No, he was actually originally, he was an Egyptian prince.
Oh, okay. Sorry, but yeah. Okay, let me clarify.
Yes, Carter Hall, maybe.
Hall is an archaeologist, but he's the reincarnation of Prince Khufu, right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So yeah, and then
I guess the spirit of the original Hawkman, or whatever, however you want to say it, was this Egyptian prince, and he was murdered by somebody, and then he just kept reincarnating into different bodies throughout history, right?
Yeah, I don't know. That idea might have been introduced later, but I think this is his only reincarnation, at least in the original story, as far as I know. I could be wrong about that.
I think he did more. I don't know. Yeah, don't quote me on this, but I think he did more. So this Carter Hall fella, he was an archaeologist?
I believe so, and I think then he ended up running a museum or something. Like he was like sort of specializing in Egyptian weaponry and stuff like that. And so that's why.
I'm sorry, didn't he invent some sort of anti-gravity metal or something?
Yes, called ninth metal. And then
NTH, right? That's how you spell it, ninth metal.
Oh, no. No, that's what's funny is in the Golden Age, it was ninth metal. And then in the Silver Age, when they recreated Hawkman and made him Cater Hall, it was nth metal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How about that? DC hates just keeping things the way they are.
I know. They get confused. And we should also point out his mask is slightly different from the Silver Age version. Instead of being just the top beak on his mask, it's got the top and the bottom beak, and it's really awkward looking, if you ask me.
Yes. Yeah, so when he stares straight at the camera, it looks like he has a little bird mouth.
Right, exactly.
And, of course, he's known for having that big mace, the spike ball on the chain.
Right.
Swings around, so that's pretty cool. All right, next we have Johnny Quick.
Mm-hmm.
And he made the strawberry powder you could mix with milk. And you can, that's Nestle Quick. That's Nestle. This is Johnny Quick,
right?
And his real name is Jonathan Chambers. His first appearance, More Fun Comics, 71 from 1941, created by Mort Weisinger. Hey, we've mentioned Mort Weisinger before on the show.
Absolutely, yep.
Wasn't he a longtime editor at DC?
Of Superman, yeah. He's responsible for like the whole basically 50s and 60s Superman era. All
right, so yeah, he created Johnny Quick. And his deal is he was a college student, this Jonathan Chambers, and his mentor or professor or somebody he knew discovered a mathematical equation that when you recited the equation, you accessed another dimension and you took speed energy out of that dimension and you could run real fast.
I love it.
So, a superpower based on math.
Mm-hmm.
So this is. So before this professor died or whatever, he gave Jonathan Chambers the equation and told him what to do. So now Jonathan Chambers can run around like a monkey real fast. He's not as fast as the Flash, but he is fast.
And he can also kind of fly, right?
Like the way he says it is, I guess he runs and jumps and his momentum can make him fly or something. I don't know. Something
because he's like turning midair in some of these pages. So,
yeah. Who knows? But his outfit is like red and yellow, and he's got another one of them domino masks. Why are they called domino masks, by the way?
I actually have no idea, but I've just always known that's what they're called. But yeah, I don't
Is
know
it
why.
just because they kind of look like a domino, a black domino with two white like dots on it?
Yeah, maybe that could be it.
All right. But he's red and yellow, and he runs real fast. Anything else you want to say about Johnny or
Not
Johnny?
really.
Quick?
Not really. Just that he's again, him and Firebrand and a couple others, like you said, they're kind of like the core of the team, and those are the ones I'm most familiar with.
Although I kind of like the idea that he's fast, but not as fast as the Flash. Like
Right.
It's like, then why are you even here? You know?
Yeah,
Why do we need
yeah.
you? We'll just get the Flash. We don't need you.
Yeah.
Next time we need someone to do something not very quick, we'll get you.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right. Next up, Liberty Belle, and that's Belle. She's a lady. Liberty Belle. Her real name is Libby Lawrence, and her first appearance was Boy Commandos, #1, awesome. 1942, created by Don Cameron and Chuck Winter. I'm sorry, Chuck Winter. And she was an American Intercollegiate Girls Athletic Tournament athlete. She won the tournament, and as a reward, she received a bell-shaped medal made from a piece of the original Liberty Bell. Later, she competed in the gold. She won gold medals in swimming at the 1936 Olympics in Berlin. So again, she's just a really good athlete, and she becomes a superhero. But that Liberty Bell, Michael, do you know the secrets of that Liberty Bell medal she has?
Isn't it that it activates her adrenaline?
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Apparently, she needs, no matter where she is in the country or in the world, she has them ring the bell in Philadelphia, the old Liberty Bell, and it vibrates. And she keeps it on her belt buckle, so I'm sure she gets a little perk out of it as well. and it accelerates her. It gives her like an adrenaline rush. So I don't know. I guess it's a power.
Again, yeah, thinking very small scale back in these days, right?
Yeah.
It's like yeah, it's like having every time I want to go fight crime, I have a tea, and it gives me a little jolt of caffeine, and then I can fight crime. It's ridiculous,
So basically, she keeps a vibrator in her underpants, and it makes her happy.
Right,
that's basically what we're talking about here, Liberty Bell. And she's a blonde lady, classic all-American blonde lady. She wears like yellow pants, blue top. And the pants they're like there's things that stick out on the sides.
Right.
Did we talk about these during Moon-Nite, I believe? I forget what they're called, these kind of pants.
Yeah, and were they specifically from are they from like the 1700s or?
No, they're British. They were first invented for people that ride horses. That gives you more room in the thighs to ride horses.
Okay.
And they have it like an Indian name, Jess or something like that. It's I can't remember. But anyway, the archaeologists in Moon-Nite were wearing them as well.
Okay.
But anyway, so that's Liberty Bell. And finally, the big last member of the core team is Plastic Man.
Right.
I got to tell you, I'm not a fan of Plastic Man.
Well, I like Plastic Man in the few stories I've read by like his creator. What's his creator's name?
Guess what? I know it because I wrote this all down. He's created by Jack Cole.
That's right. Yeah, like
comic artist Jack Cole.
And I like when he's done by Jack Cole or like Kyle Baker or someone that treats him like a cartoon character, but when you stick him in a story like this, he just doesn't fit.
Yes, that's exactly what I thought when I was reading this, because I totally forgot Plastic Man was here. Like when I think of All-Star Squadron, I do not think of Plastic Man. I think of like Dr. Mid-Nite, Adam, those kind of Liberty Bell, those kind of people. I do not think of Plastic Man. It just seemed like he was so out of place here. Right. His real name was Eel O'Brien, and his first appearance was Police Comics #1, 1941. Did you laugh at the name Eel, Michael? That is a proud name. Eel.
Yeah, it's just, again, a little bit ridiculous, but whatever.
You don't hear many kids named Eel these days.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit outdated.
But he was actually a petty crook. Mm-hmm. And he, during a botched robbery, he was shot. And he escaped. But I guess he was robbing a chemical plant or something, and some chemicals got in the wound. And when he healed up, he went to a monastery or something. And these guys helped him heal up. And they changed his view on life as well. So he became a good guy. But the chemicals interacted with his metabolism, and he could now stretch like plastic.
Right.
So that's
And
good, I
it
guess.
was clear. It's like when I was younger, I thought that his powers were exactly like for example, Elongated Man and Mr. Fantastic are mostly about stretching, but it seems like
Yes.
Plastic Man can like change into like a boat or a chair or anything. It seems like, eh?
Yeah,
Like,
there's a scene in this book we will be discussing where he does something pretty extraordinary.
yeah.
We'll get into that later, I guess. But yeah, there was a cartoon of Plastic Man when I was a kid, I seem to recall.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember he was also in some episodes of the Super Friends.
Oh, okay. But just not a fan. I don't know. His costume's weird. It's like a one-piece bathing suit for a man. It's just strange.
Yeah.
And he's got those glasses with the white rims. Just...
Do you remember our friend the Curmudgeon?
Yes.
From Curmudgeon's Corner? Plastic Man is his favorite character. Absolutely.
We got to get that guy on the show, Michael. I want Curmudgeon on the show.
He still owes me $25. So once I get that back, okay?
I will pay his $25.
All right.
Get him on the show.
I'll let you know. All right. For sure.
All right. So those are all the big heroes we got to talk about. But now we got about 4 villains we need to discuss. The main villain in this story is a guy named Per Degaton. Right.
I think it's Degaton, isn't it? Like ton?
Sure.
Yeah.
That sounds whatever. I don't know. I'm just confused that his first name is Per. P-E-R.
I know. Yeah, I know. It'd be like per mile, yeah, or per hour.
I have no idea. It's such a weird name. His first appearance was All-Star Comics 35, 1947. He was created by John Broome and Erwin Hansen.
Okay.
And I guess his deal was he was an assistant to the Time Trust, which was a group of scientists trying to develop a time ray that could travel back and forth in time. So he was obsessed with time travel. And basically, he would always steal their invention, go back in time, and... Like I think his original adventure was he stole their invention, went back in time, and tried to take over the world. And he went all the way back to like the days of Alexander the Great.
Oh, okay.
And he did something that he defeated. He brought with him like tanks and stuff. So he defeated Alexander the Great, and then that changed history, and it created all sorts of time. I don't know. It's a very convoluted thing. I don't understand.
That's a kind of a cool idea, though.
I don't like time travel stories though because it's confusing. It's just
confusing. Yeah, it is.
So apparently he just then when he was born again or something, I don't know, when he started working for these time travel guys again, he stole their invention again and then beat the hell out of the guy. And yeah, because the first time he shot the professor he stole the invention from, but he didn't kill him. And then that professor got the Justice League to go back in time and defeat him. So the second time he does it, he physically, with his bare hands, beats the professor to death.
Okay.
And he takes his invention. And now that happens in 1947. So in this issue, we're in 1941. He just goes back in time 6 years. And his plan in this issue, Michael, is he brainwashes a bunch of Japanese Zero pilots, and he wants them to attack San Francisco.
Right.
Because if he does that right after Pearl Harbor, like Pearl Harbor happened the day before, now he wants these Japanese fighter pilots to strafe and bomb San Francisco because he says that will convince FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, to launch a war with Japan before going into Europe.
Right.
And that will change history.
Which is a very specific goal to have.
Yes,
right?
Very odd.
Yeah.
Like you think he would do something else besides just change the sequential order of the war.
Yeah, you're right. Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. But that's his mission here. Mm-hmm. So in order to do that, he needs some help. He needs to get some villains on his side. He needs a team of supervillains. Mm-hmm. So he goes throughout history and he starts plucking these supervillains throughout time and stuff. And a couple of them we don't even see in this issue, but like Sky Pirate and Mother Bee or King Bee or
King Bee. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't know who this person was until now, but yeah, King Bee.
Yeah, and another guy named the Monster, who's basically like Jekyll and Hyde, like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. But in this issue, we see how would you say this? Waton? Waton?
I think it's Wotan, isn't it?
Well, I thought it was Waton. Waton.
No, I think it's. I'll find out. I think it's W-O because it's the Germanic version of Odin.
Oh, okay. That would make a lot more sense.
Yeah.
So, But basically, he's is he blue skinned or is he green skinned? Blue, right?
I'm trying to find him in the issue. Of course, I can't find him. Here he is. Yeah, he's blue skinned.
Okay, and he kind of looks like a classic presentation of a devil with like the haircut, the wacky pointy haircut and beard and mustache. But he's a sorcerer. But actually, Michael, originally he was a sorceress.
Oh, really?
Yeah. His first appearance was More Fun Comics 55, 1940, created by Gardner Fox and Howard Sherman. And he was actually a female character in prehistoric times who was beaten and raped. And she was so depressed after this. She said, "What's the point of life?" She says, "Why these terrible things happen to people? What's the point?" And she found some mystical guy who trained her in the arts of sorcery. So she became a powerful sorceress, and she started doing all kind of stuff. But I guess she started changing her soul. She started putting it into different bodies throughout history, and eventually she ended up in this guy.
Really? Huh.
And so technically he's a fella, and he's also a bit of a lady.
Interesting.
But yeah, so I don't know. And did you confirm his it's WOTON?
It's funny. I've been staring at his picture for the past 5 minutes and haven't even bothered to read. Where is it now? No, you know what? I'll look for it again. Just keep talking.
We'll see it when we go through the book. We'll figure it out. Next, we have Dr. Zodiac, All-Star Comics 42, 1948, created by John Broome and Arthur Petty. And he's a scientific genius and an alchemist. He knows the secrets of alchemy. And basically, he's just he's like Dr. Octopus without the arms. No glasses either, but he has a similar haircut. But he's just like an older fella.
He's pudgy.
Yeah, and he has this terrible costume, like a cape with all kind of like stars and moons on it and stuff. Mm-hmm. And he flies this plane with no propellers. So it's like
I love it.
It's like a glider, but it's a plane. It's kind of like the things you make in Cub Scouts here in the United States. Does Canada have Cub Scouts, Michael?
Absolutely, yes.
Oh, are they called Cub Scouts?
Yeah. In fact, my nephew is a Cub Scout.
Oh, see, I was a Cub Scout.
Yeah. Or he's like whatever they are. Like he's age 7, so whatever you are at age 7. Is that Scouts?
Yeah, those are Cub Scouts. Yeah.
Okay, he's a Scout then. Yeah.
Start off as a wolf, then a bear, and then a weeblo, which is very weird. I don't know what that weeblo means, but but you used to make boats and cars and stuff. Like this is the kind of thing you would make as a Cub Scout. It's just like a body with 2 wings on it, and that's it. And,
yeah, and there's a cool name for it, isn't it? Called like an alchemical plane or alka something plane.
Alka Seltzer. Yeah.
Yeah, something. I don't know. It's in there somewhere. We'll find it. Yeah.
And then finally, Michael, we have Solomon Grundy.
Right. Who's the most famous, probably?
I love Solomon Grundy.
Everyone does.
Yeah, and again, it's not like I read a lot of DC when I was a kid, but he was in the cartoons once in a while on occasion. He'd show up in those Legion of Doom cartoons.
Right.
And but I just love Solomon Grundy because he's just this big white skin like zombie, like all white hair and everything. And he's dressed in these raggedy dark suit, and he's kind of dumb, but he's really strong.
Right. So
I love him.
Me too. I was gonna say, don't forget he's mentioned in the song Superman song by the Crash Test.
Yes, you brought that up before on this show. Yeah,
yep.
But I had no idea. Now, do you know? That's all I knew about Solomon Grundy. I had no concept of his backstory, his origin, nothing. Do you know what it is?
I only know that he was spontaneously generated in Slaughter Swamp. That's all I know.
It's a lot like Swamp Thing. When you think
kind of, yeah. But he came out of nowhere. It's not like he used to be. Wait a minute. No.
Let me tell you his backstory.
Okay.
Because it is tremendous.
Okay.
So this goes back. I should mention it was All American Comics 61, 1944 was his first appearance. And he was created by Alfred Hester and Paul Reinman. And his real name is Cyrus Gold.
Right.
That was his real name. And he was a wealthy merchant who in 1894 he was murdered and tossed into Slaughter Swamp. But the reason he got thrown in there, he impregnated a prostitute. Okay? He got a hooker pregnant. And she met with him at the swamp because she was going to blackmail him. Maybe she wasn't actually pregnant. she was just telling him she was pregnant, and they were trying to get money out of him, and he refused. But little did he know, standing behind him was her pimp, and he had a shovel. And he cracked him over the head with the shovel, and that's what killed him. And then they threw him in the swamp. So all because he didn't go with the blackmail plan of a prostitute and a pimp, he was murdered, thrown into a swamp. 40 years later, he emerged as Solomon Grundy. His body coalesced with the swamp and all the debris and the plant life and the vegetation and the dirt and the wood, and he became Solomon Grundy. So technically, he's kind of made of wood, which is why he's immune to his arch enemy Green Lantern's power.
Oh, right. Okay.
Which is strange, because he doesn't look wood-like at all.
Not at all.
So he is basically Swamp Thing. So Swamp Thing just stole Solomon Grundy.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. And do you know, like, the name Solomon Grundy, the reason he got the name is when he came out of the swamp, he came on like some prospectors or some drifters or whatever. They had a little camp, and they say, "Hey, what's your name?" And he goes, "I was born on a Monday." And he's like, "Oh, like that nursery rhyme. You're Solomon Grundy," and that's he took the name. Like, do you know the nursery rhyme?
No, I don't. Do you?
Well, here you go. I'll read it for you.
Okay.
Born on a Monday, christened on Tuesday, married on Wednesday, took ill on Thursday, grew worse on Friday, died on Saturday, buried on Sunday. That was the end of Solomon Grundy.
Really?
That's the nursery rhyme.
Interesting. So, but now here's my question. To make Grundy rhyme with Monday,
it doesn't rhyme at all.
No, but you know, some people say, instead of saying Monday, they say Monday.
I've never heard that in my life.
Oh yeah, like I've definitely heard like older people, like my boss still says that Monday.
Oh, all right.
Tuesday, yeah, might be just an old
Grundy
thing. Yeah.
Yes. Maybe we should just call him Solomon Grundy.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
But I love Solomon Grundy.
Me too. Yeah, he's great.
So great. So great. And he was originally a Green Lantern villain who then just started fighting everybody.
Right.
So there you go. That's everybody.
Okay.
All right. So if you're scoring at home, and hopefully you are, those are all the key characters in this book that we will be discussing. So here we go, Michael. All-Star Squadron number 3, 1981. Let's look at the cover, because I really like the cover.
Sure. Okay, you want me to read it? Okay.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Okay, so at the top we've got some. Okay, first of all, we got the logo, the All-Star Squadron. Then above that, the sinister Oh, there you go. Should have read that first. The sinister Solomon Grundy battles the All-Star Squadron. I gotta say, I love this logo. Like they all overtop the star, and it's all like 3D letters. Like it's pure 1980s lettering, right? Like I love it.
And the A in Squadron has a star in it for the space. Yeah.
Yeah, so cool. And then on the left it says the greatest heroes of all time. And basically Solomon Grundy is fighting the members of the All-Star Squadron, and then at the bottom we've got Per Degaton, and he's like, destroy the All-Stars monster and make Per Degaton master of the world. And
we should mention this Per Degaton guy. We didn't describe what he looks like, but he's basically just a red-headed white guy.
Right.
And, he wears like a black suit with red gloves and a big D on it.
Right. Right.
But yeah, this cover's great because Solomon Grundy's right in the middle, and he's punching the Atom, knocking him silly. And then on the left, we have a Robotman. Oh, we didn't talk about Robotman?
No, we didn't. He's one of my favorites.
All right, hold on. So we'll talk about Robotman in a second. So then we got the Plastic Man wrapping his armor on him. We got Liberty Belle hanging off his other arm, and Dr. Mid-Nite and Hawkman on the right. It's just a great cover, and it's drawn by our buddy Rich Buckler, and it's inked by Dick Giordano, who is tremendous. I love Dick Giordano.
Yeah.
I got to go back and look at my notes for Robotman. I know I looked them up. How could I miss Robotman? Yeah, his real name is Robert Crane, and his first appearance was Star Spangled Comics 7, 1942, created by Jerry Siegel and Leo Nowak.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow, okay.
Huh. And basically, he was a scientist whose brain is transplanted into a robot body. Robert Crane and his assistant, I can't remember his name at the moment, they created this, they described it as a mobile iron lung. Basically, it's just a robot body that they were going to one day implant a brain into. And while they were looking for a suitable brain, some criminals broke into their laboratory and tried to steal it. And they shot Crane. And they were trying to steal it, but it was too heavy for them to move, and they didn't know how to operate it, so they just left. So with Crane about to die, his assistant said, "Hey, we got to do this." So he took Robert Crane's brain and put it into the body of the Ribbit, and so now we got Ribbit Man.
I love him. And I should also point out there is technically a newer Robot Man in the Doom Patrol, but this is the Golden Age Robot Man.
Yeah, I like this Ribbit Man because he's a cool look. He's just an all metal body Ribbit, but he's got like rivets around his skull and stuff. And
right.
He looks
love
cool.
him.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he doesn't move like an Iron Ribbit. He's very agile.
Right.
He can run and jump, and he can run really fast even. So he's a Ribbit Man. So all right, now Michael, we can get to the book.
So yeah, like you said earlier, so we've got Per Degaton, and he's got this plan to use hypnotized Japanese pilots to fly Japanese Zeros over San Francisco to terrorize San Francisco, right?
Yep.
And
well, I guess we should mention, Michael. We forgot this is issue 3.
Yes.
And they premiered in Justice League 193, and in the first 2 issues. Basically, what's happened to this point is that the Justice Society have all been knocked out.
Right.
That magician, that evil sorcerer guy, Wotan Soup or whatever his name is.
Wotan, yeah.
He put them all under like some mystical spell, so they're all trapped on some volcanic island that this Per Degaton is rigged to explode. So that's why no one was able to stop Pearl Harbor, because they were all knocked out.
Right. And But there was 2 that were not knocked out, which is Hawkman and who is it? The Atom?
Yes, I think that's right.
Right. And so they have gone and recruited these other heroes. So when the story opens, it's Hawkman, Robotman, and Johnny Quick who are attacking Per Degaton's headquarters, which is a floating volcano, right?
No, it's like a floating battleship, I think.
Okay.
Or no, it's I'm so confused. Wait, where are they? Aren't they in a submarine? Wait a minute. Let me see here. I'm so confused.
Yeah, but there is a volcano in there. Oh, the volcano is where the Justice Society is. Yeah,
he's going to blow up the volcanic island.
Right. Which we'll get to.
So he's not there.
Right.
But where is he at the moment?
I don't know.
Question. I know a large portion of the story takes place in a submarine, but I don't know.
I think he must be in the submarine, right?
I guess, but it looks like they're flying towards him on this monitor. So I guess he must just be watching them flying towards the sub, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway.
Maybe we'll figure it out as we go along.
Yeah,
okay,
figure it out. I only read it 2 days ago. What do you expect?
Exactly. Me too. I read it last night. I don't remember. So Per Degaton is narrating the fact that these heroes are flying towards him, and he's basically talking about how he's gonna, defeat them, and so now we also see Dr. Mid-Nite, Plastic Man, Atom, and Liberty Belle and Phantom Lady. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna have to actually reread this. So he's like, still, I saw several other such mystery men dropped into the city itself. My long-range viewer will soon find out if, blast them, there they are patrolling the blackened city. Okay, so this is what's happened, is that they're in San Francisco. That's what it is. And the heroes that we mentioned on the first page are coming towards him, right?
Yes.
That's what I think is going on.
So anyway, and that sorcerer guy's name is Wotan, Otan. Right. I inverted the A and the O. Wotan. Wotan is a much better name than Waiton.
Yes.
So there you go. All right.
So and here's where he specifies. He's like, when he's talking about the Japanese Zeros, he's like, after the havoc they'll soon unleash, no American president will be able to pursue a beat Germany first policy.
Yes.
What? Okay.
Yeah, like that's the big thing, to beat Germany first. No, you can't do that. So I think Thomas could have come up with something a little better than that, maybe.
Yeah. I'm working on my theory of Thomas, and I think he's just so obsessed with the minutiae of history that he just doesn't, I don't know. He doesn't quite know how to write a good story. He just knows how to use trivia in a way. You know what I mean? I don't know.
He's like, I want to go back in time to make sure FDR doesn't have toast on the morning of Pearl Harbor.
Right, exactly.
And that will mean that the whole history will be different.
Right, exactly.
Better than that. I don't know.
Yeah. Right. So, okay. So anyway, so he's talking about how he's traveled back in time and he's amassed all this technology. And he's like, technology such as this very sub-oceanic carrier, which I used to activate a volcanic isle in the Pacific.
Yeah. So he is in that submarine thing. All right.
Right. And then he's talking about how the Justice Society are all knocked out. And I have to bring up, this is my Roy Thomas pet peeve. It's how he'll have someone just speaking casually, but he'll always have them specify trivial details just because he's Roy Thomas. So, for example,
there's another reason why. He's a bad writer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he's like, 9 JSAers, including their mightiest members, lie there. Well, nor must I forget non-members, Wonder Woman and Robin. Because you couldn't just say the Justice Society had to, these guys are not on the official roster. I got to point that out. It's really annoying, but whatever.
Yeah, it's not good.
And then it's funny because then they show his control console. Great. And he's got a little button, and it says "press to activate" next to it, and it says "volcanic isle detonator," and he presses it. It's awesome, and this is exactly what the Adam West Batman TV show was making fun of, but this is serious. Can
you imagine? What if that "press to activate" label wasn't there? He would just sit there staring at the button. What do I do?
Exactly.
Should I lick it? What do I
do? Right.
Switch to activate.
And this is also terrible. He's talking about how he's like, my aerial attack carried out by hypnotized Japanese pilots will soon be a matter of history, making December 7th, 1941 doubly a day of infamy. Ridiculous. Doubly. Is doubly a word?
Sure. Why not? But then he's also monitoring throughout the sub. I guess he has cameras. So he's seeing that Shining Knight, which, again, that is just a terrible name, Shining Knight.
Yeah, it's not a great name.
And his, what's that lady, Firebrand, who's not Firebrand yet. Yeah, they're confronting Solomon Grundy, Wotan, and Dr. Zodiac.
Yeah.
So we get a little fight scene here.
Right, a little fight scene. Not really much of one. But
Wotan shoots some energy beams there at some magic eldritch beams. Doesn't Doctor Strange shoot eldritch beams as well, or
something like that. Not exactly, but there is some similarities there. And he also talks like by Belial and Beelzebub. It's kind of like his mystic sword drains off my energy like unto a succubus of steel. It's kind of like the way Doctor Strange would talk, right? And then Danny's like a lightning rod, you mean, creep, yeah. Right? So, and then of course it's funny because then Shining Knight is like, bandy nut words with such blackguards, Danette Riley, I'll hold them back. I don't know, it's just funny.
Yeah, he has to use her full name.
Yeah,
and I just don't. Roy Thomas is going overboard here with this dialogue. It's a comic book, supposed to be fun, whatever. But,
yeah. But yeah, so anyway, so they end up taking off. Oh yeah, and so Shining Knight has a plan. He's like, "Get behind me, Danette." Why? Meseems. Meseems this strange vessel floats quite near the water surface. How close? We soon shall see. I should be saying that with an English accent, but I won't.
Okay.
And so basically, they cut, and then they.
He puts a sword right through the hull of the ship.
Right, and so now the water starts leaking in.
Yeah.
And then they're able to. Now this is where it gets weird. So now they escape through the surface, and so obviously his plan was that they'd be close enough to the surface so they could just swim up. But remember, this is a guy from King Arthur's Round Table, and this is what his thought bubble is: zounds, the pressure of the water overhead. It makes my very ears ring. Do you think a knight from King Arthur's Round Table would know about pressure differences in water? I don't know.
What I don't understand is he cuts the hull of the ship to let water in.
Yes.
So the water is rushing in, yet somehow it also propels them out.
Yeah, that wouldn't quite work, would it?
Yeah, you think the water would just knock them back, but it propels them out.
Yeah.
I think he was thinking of it as like a airplane when you cut a hole in an airplane that sucks you out.
Right. Well, yeah, you get pushed up with the air pressure. Yeah, it's
But there's only one hole here, and water is rushing in, so they're not going to be able to get out. But anyway,
not at all.
What can you do? But Solomon Grundy's very upset that the water's coming in, and he's flipping out. And Wotan yells at him. He tells him to stop whining.
Right, right.
And then Wotan seals the ship with his magic.
Right. Yeah. And then, so then they continue to swim up, and then they get to the surface. And, they're okay. And then they look up, and, of course, they're rescued by, what's his name? Winged Victory.
Winged Victory is magic horse.
My flying steed. I love it. Anyway, it's a cool idea. I don't know.
I just hated that they're in this comic book. Like, why are you here? Like, I don't want a knight from the round table in a superhero comic book. Get the hell out of here.
That's why I like them, but that's okay. So then, and here we go. Now, so then they fly away, and now we see the plane I was talking about. And do they? Oh, here we go. Slowly, Zodiac, do not overtake them yet with your alchemically powered plane. That's what it's called. Yeah, and it just looks like a toy plane. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's got an orange body, blue wings, and the body is decorated with suns and stars and moons, and it's absurd.
Yeah. So then we cut back to the submarine, and we get Solomon Grundy and Per Degaton kind of arguing here, blah, blah, blah. And they're talking about Wotan or whatever his name is. And then, okay, so then we...
Well, Grundy is mad because he says he wants to kill Green Lantern, and, you're not letting me kill Green Lantern. And he's like, I've about had enough of you. And then that Degaton guy goes, you're threatening me, Grundy? Right. I'm stronger than you, stronger than anybody. And Degaton says, true. But you know that if you allow any harm to come to me, you'll be automatically returned to that same instant, to the time and place where I found you. And then he's thinking to himself, where I found you. And then he goes into a big exposition for about 2 pages where he tells you the backstory of how he took all these villains from their times and places. And Solomon Grundy was actually buried underground by the Green Lantern. He put him in like a green energy tomb underground, and he was stuck. Mm-hmm. But Degaton just popped him out of there, and literally popped him. There's a pop noise, pop.
Right.
And he took him to 1941, and so that's where they're at.
But wait, you actually skipped. These are actually even funnier. Is where he found Professor Zodiac in the middle of fighting Dr. Mid-Nite. He was flying away in his plane. Then he just popped him out of that time period, and
he made it look like the plane exploded to cover up the fact.
Right. And then, but this is the best one. And then he's like, Sky Pirating King Bee. I forgot the real names. I found by luck sharing a common cell. Wait a minute. If you didn't know the real names, how did you find their cell? And then he's like, I found by luck sharing a common cell. Not that they were on speaking terms at the time. God.
Why even put that in there about the real names?
That's what I mean. Like, it's like he chooses all the wrong things to put on the page. He could have made it so much simpler and better.
Like Roy Thomas is a very creative fella. And, he comes up with these ideas, and, whether they're good or not, they're ideas. And I think he's okay in like big picture terms of like looking at stories and everything. But in the minor details of dialogue and character, he's terrible.
Off. I know. And that's what's crazy is that he's basically Stan Lee's successor, right? Like he's kind of like the main guy that took over everything as Stan Lee kind of phased himself out of writing. And other than imitating Stan Lee's surface level style of writing, I don't know what Stan Lee saw in him. No offense, but
it's not. Well, I guess he is creative,
Yeah, you're right.
Generates a lot of ideas.
Yeah, like a lot of the characters we've talked about on the show, he did create. So yeah, I'll give you that. He is very creative. Yeah.
It'd be better maybe if he was the idea man, and then you had someone actually handle the writing.
Right. And even the plotting, like if you just look at this page, you could see that another writer could just come up with better dialogue and narration over top of it, right? It's just that he's just not good at dialogue, Yeah. Anyway, okay, so then Solomon Grundy, so he popped out of, into 1942 or whatever year this is. 41. Now, 41. So now we cut over to some of the other all-stars who are riding a boat that's actually plastic, man. So,
yes.
I mean, technically they're sitting on his ass. I guess. It's kind of gross. Like, and you look at like the fact that that's his neck, like, does his neck have hair on it? Like, is it, you know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of gross to think about the details of what they're riding on. But yeah.
Yeah, he's like a big flying ship. They're flying in the air.
That's right. Yeah, it's flying. It's not even floating.
And Degaton and or whatever his name is, and Solomon Grundy, they see them coming, so they're preparing. And the Atom says, "Hey, look, I see some ship underwater. That must be them." So what does Plastic Man do now, Michael?
Well, to my eyes, he becomes a giant dildo. Okay,
that's exactly right.
Right.
Giant sex toy.
But actually, he turns into like a drill, which again is kind of impossible because assuming he can't become moving parts, he's basically just a big rubber dildo. So I don't know how he manages to like drill into this submarine that's made of metal, but yeah, he does it.
And he's encasing all his heroes inside of himself. So he's like. Right. He's like a tube, and they're inside, and they're inside him at this moment.
Yeah,
technically. Yeah, and then he drills his way into right through the iron hull of the ship, and they pop up inside. But it doesn't seem like any water gets in really. Like, shouldn't the boat be flooding?
Yeah, there's a little puddle below him.
Yeah, that's about it. So then they have a big fight with Solomon Grundy and Degaton and all those guys. What's his name? Per Degaton? Is that what it is?
Per Degaton, yeah. And then, of course, when they pop in, the Atom says, "We're the Justice Society or the All-Star Squadron. Take your pick." Bad. Bad, yeah. So,
and Captain Midnight, Dr. Midnight. Really, let's just make him Captain Midnight. That's a better name. Sure. But he punches Solomon Grundy because he hits him with his blackout bomb so Grundy can't see him, and then he punches him, but he almost breaks his hand punching Grundy.
Right.
Grundy's so strong.
But it's also, but before that, the Atom punches out Per Degaton. He's like, "Robotman, Mister, I just met a guy with that name today, and whoever you are, you're not in his league." And I also got to point out that in the previous issue, when they... I don't remember what scene it was, but they were like, "Oh, what are these things? Is it what that Czech writer calls them? Robots?" And because like the word robot is from a Czech play, I think. But again, it's so terribly dropped in there. Yeah, inorganically dropped in there. But anyway, so now they've got hypnotized, just other guys, right?
Yeah, just like his henchmen, Degaton's henchmen.
Yeah, so they all come and they've got guns, and then they start
fist fight.
Right,
fist fight.
Phantom Lady uses her black light ray, and then Atom's punching them and blah blah blah, and Phantom Lady points out that she knows jujitsu, of course. Yep. So yeah, it's more fisticuffs. And then okay, so then it cuts to the next page, and now we're back to these Japanese Zeros. And then, the narration's like, "At this very moment, more than a dozen remaining Zeros are swooping low over the shoreline towards the sleepy town of Monterey, south of San Francisco, and preparing to give that California community a most rude awakening. But luckily, Hawkman and Johnny Quick and Robotman are there to save the day, right?"
Yep. But Hawkman, he confronts these airplanes, and he says, normally, I would try to find a way to take it easy on them. But that was before Pearl Harbor. Right. Besides, those are innocent people down there. They're about to strafe, so I don't have much choice. So he just uses his mace to just kill this guy. Boom.
Right.
And even though he's brainwashed.
They're subhuman because they're Japanese.
Yes.
Right? He didn't say that, but that's what he's thinking. Yeah.
That's the implication.
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, he murders him. And then Johnny Quick, he's like, "How do I get up there?" And Robotman does the old fastball special. Colossus.
That's right. Wolverine. Totally noticed that. Yeah.
They just rip it off, but he just throws Johnny Quick at the airplanes, and Johnny Quick lands on the airplane and starts just dismantling it in midair, just taking it apart with his bare hands. Because I guess his hands are like screwdrivers or something. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Take apart the plane. But here's what I like, Michael, and I remember this even all these years later. I remember this scene. Robotman finds an old cannon, like at some historical park. And they got cannonballs there, and he just starts picking up the cannonballs, throwing them at the airplanes.
Yes.
I think it's awesome, but also terribly unsafe because Robotman, those cannonballs got to land somewhere.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So I just imagine the kids walking to school getting pummeled by cannonballs.
Yeah, true.
Murdered by a flying cannonball.
Right.
So
yeah, unfortunate. So then basically, so then we cut to Shining Knight and Danny or Danielle.
Danette.
Danette, right. And they're just talking about this volcano thing, and they, whatever it is,
this volcano thing.
Yeah, this volcano thing, whatever it is. And then I don't know how they know the heroes are there.
They were there originally, like in issue 1, or they were originally there.
Okay,
so they know. Yeah.
So then they go down, and then the first hero they find. It's funny because Shining Knight is like, I recognize only the raiment, yet my fabled liege's own coat of arms was ne'er so well known. 'Tis the hero of heroes called Superman. So Superman's knocked out, and he thinks that if he uses his sword, that he'll break the spell, right? But it doesn't work.
He has magic sword from Enchanted by Merlin. It could dispel the magic, but nope, doesn't work.
No. And then before they can do anything else, Professor Zodiac or whatever, is that his name? Yeah. So he flies in with Wotan. Yeah. I want to say like Wu-Tang Clan. That's what I keep thinking of whenever I read it. But anyway, so then they have a little fight, shooting lasers and stuff, whatever.
Well, he's shooting his Eldritch bolts at him, and Shining Knight's blocking it with his sword.
And don't forget, Professor Zodiac has his universal solvent.
Yes. This is very important. He's holding a test tube of universal solvent.
I love it, yes.
It's very important because that plays a huge role in the end of the story.
That's right. So then...
So Shining Knight tells Danette to get running, He's like, go flee. Trying to think... This isn't this one, because I read a previous issue. I think it was maybe it was 193 of Justice League, where Solomon Grundy's beating up Green Lantern, Flash, and Wonder Woman, and like Green Lantern's like, "This is no place for a woman. You need to get out of here."
Right. I remember that. I don't know which one it was in. Yeah.
Yeah, but
so then Professor Knight or Shining Knight.
Dr. Knight.
Whatever. Throws his sword, and it knocks the universal solvent out of Professor Zodiac's hand. And he's like, he hurt me, Wotan.
Well, he threw his sword as he was getting knocked out. Like he got hit with a bolt of energy. So he was his last breath before he falls unconscious. He throws a sword. Yeah.
Right, and then it knocks out his universal solvent.
Yes.
And then Wotan's like, "Oh, stop whining, you dolt! It's the girl we must worry about now. Her? What harm can an unarmed female do us?" and then now this is where it gets wacky. So she is running above on this like rock formation. Yep. And then Wotan is like, fortunately for us, she has chosen to flee directly above the vats of artificial lava, which Degaton equipped his isle in order to dissuade.
Mike L is loving this Roy Thomas dialogue.
Great. Oh, in order to dissuade the curious. It's ridiculous. Oh my god. Oh god, that is. I'm gonna post that on its own. Like when I post this issue, I'm gonna post this below. It is so fucking funny. Oh,
how unfortunate to be running over the artificial lava created to dissuade the curious.
Thank you for helping me out there. Oh my god, that was funny. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So then he hits her with one of his magic bolts, and she just falls into the lava, and it's just like. It's like right in the lava. She dead. Or is she? Yeah. We'll come back to that later.
Yeah. And then where are we here? So then
well, the volcano starts to crumble because Wotan realizes, hey, Degaton, he's going to blow it up. He doesn't care about us. He's going to blow this up with us here. Right. And they magically pop back out of time. They go back to where Degaton found them.
Right. Exactly. And then it says, but neither magic nor alchemy can stop the nefarious pair from vanishing into the mist of time. A split second before this partly natural, partly man-altered volcano erupts violently, thunderously. Anyway, so then he's watching his poor Degaton's watching his handiwork, and then Spectre materializes, right? This giant.
Yeah. Now, explain for people who aren't familiar with Spectre, because I was going to do his backstory, but I'm like, yeah, probably people know. But his real name is Jim Corrigan, and he's like the living embodiment of vengeance, right? Is that what it is?
He's like an agent of God. Yes.
Yeah. He's basically a god-like character, though. He has almost limitless power, right?
That's what's crazy is I think his powers changed over time, but at first he was just like a ghost. But yeah, then he became very powerful. It got to the point where he could actually wrestle planets.
Yeah, see, that's too much. I would prefer him just to be like a ghost kind of thing. But so here, he's actually increasing in size. He's like a giant. He's towering over this volcano.
Right.
And that's nuts.
And and then all of a sudden, so now the rest of the Justice Society are fine. Oh wait,
yeah, because we have to explain why the Spectre got free, Michael.
Oh, that's right, because the universal solvent of the alchemist falling upon me did dispel Wotan's shackling aura, as I shall now free you. I forgot about that. So then he frees the Justice Society, and so it cuts to the next shot, and they're all standing there, ready to drop an album, right? They're all posing for the camera there. It's great.
There's Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. Look at that.
So
Starman. Cool. Starman's back there. Who the hell? Like, I don't know what is Starman. What's his deal?
He has a gravity rod, later called a cosmic rod.
That's also what I have a gravity rod too. I haven't called it that since my honeymoon. And so there you go. And then there's also Sandman back there, but this Sandman has like a purple and yellow outfit.
Yes.
I like the Sandman with like the mask and the hat and the coat.
It's technically the same guy, yeah, just different outfit, yes.
Yeah.
So cool. And is there anyone else we haven't mentioned? Oh, there's also next to Starman, that's Dr. Fate with the half helmet.
Yeah, and then the blonde-haired guy next to him is Johnny Thunder.
That's right. And I think
we talked about in the Justice League issue. Yeah.
Yeah.
So but Spectre looks so cool. Like like the white body, the green cowl and cape and underpants, and boots. Like I love the Spectre, but yeah, they just made him too powerful. It's too much.
I agree.
All right, so Degaton, he realizes all these heroes are free. Spectre is so powerful and Superman's so powerful, they could just destroy me. I need to get out of here. So he pushes the button. He gives up his plan for world domination, or to just change the sequence of World War II. And so, and he just goes back to 1947. He just pops back into that laboratory where he's an assistant, and the doctor's like, "Hey, stop mumbling. These test tubes need clean. Clean these test tubes like a good fellow."
We have to point out that he doesn't now. Him and the other villains do not remember any of this happening.
Yeah. I think even some of the heroes start to forget as well.
Right. That's what happens next. Yeah. But what's his name? But Solomon Grundy's still there, so he's fighting the Atom and everyone else, and Hawkman, and there's still these goons, these hypnotized goons around. So there's all this fist fighting, but then eventually Solomon Grundy disappears as well.
Well, Robotman and Grundy start duking it out. And I love that one panel. It's a great panel Buckler has of him and Robotman, Grundy and Robotman fighting.
Punching each other, yeah.
It's great. So, but then, Grundy does disappear. And I guess, I don't know why, but he just disappears.
And he disappears and ends up on the moon. Yeah. And then apparently that's where he was in Showcase 55 when they brought him back in the Silver Age, which, again, there's so much, like, Roy Thomas did so much retconning. I'm not sure how much of this he wrote and how much of it was actually, I wonder if they ever explained in 1965 when they first showed him on the moon, like, why was he there? I have no idea, so.
Yeah, but he's on the moon now.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
Yep.
And even the big battleship disappears, the submarine ship or whatever, it disappears. So the heroes are just in the water then.
Right. And the bad guys, like the hypnotized guys disappear as well, but the heroes are left there. Yeah.
So, actually, in my story, all the hypnotized guys drown at the bottom of the sea.
Oh, okay.
And the heroes just get out of the way. And then Plastic Man, it becomes like a big inner tube, floaty boat kind of thing. And they all hop in his body. Right. They're floating around.
Right.
And the Spectre then just scoops him up in his hands and just carries him back to San Francisco and puts him on the Golden Gate Bridge. Well, that's nice.
Very nice of him.
But this is weird then, Michael. The book ends with Eleanor Roosevelt giving them an address. Now, I don't understand. Why Eleanor Roosevelt? Like they say in the book here, FDR was tired. So Eleanor Roosevelt is delivering the address.
Well, the only thing, maybe in real history, this is what happened the day after Pearl Harbor. Maybe he was tired? No? Okay.
But
okay.
it just seems strange that they wanted to get Eleanor Roosevelt involved. But she basically just says FDR has created a new group of superheroes to protect you against the evils of Nazi Germany and Japan. And this is the All-Star Squadron.
Right. Awesome.
And they're all like, yay!
Remember Pearl Harbor!
Yes, that's literally what they scream. Remember Pearl Harbor. And then the little yellow box beneath that, and they will.
Yep.
And that's the last line.
That's right.
Wow. I got to tell you, Michael, that was something.
Sure was. Yeah.
Like I said, I hadn't read it in 38 years. And as a kid, I love this stuff. Reading it now, I was like, oh, wow. Man. Roy Thomas.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because I used to go out of my way to try and collect All-Star Squadron, and at one point I stopped, and now I know why.
Yeah, it's just they're ridiculously poor writing.
Right.
God bless Roy Thomas. He wrote every issue, 1 through 67, and all 3 annuals. He wrote every word of All-Star Squadron.
Right.
So there's no getting away from it. You either like this or you don't. There's no getting away from it. The artist is Rich Buckler. We talked about him before, I think, when we did because he did a few pages of that Fantastic Four issue, which Roy Thomas wrote as well. But he drew issues 1 through 5, and then he did issue 36. But that's all he did here. But I like Rich Buckler's work. He's a classic comic book artist.
Yeah, he's fine. I think Jerry Ordway's inks are what make it better. But I wasn't too crazy about the inking here. Really? Okay.
I was hoping it was going to be Dick Giordano inking, and it wasn't, so I was disappointed. Because Ordway uses a lot of little lines. I'm not a big. I'd rather have solid black.
Okay.
But it's okay. It's fine. But I like the art here because it's like I said, classic comic book art.
Right.
Not too realistic, not too cartoony. Perfect. Just perfect. So it's fine with me. The art's fine, but the writing, I can't get around it.
Oh, me neither.
I just can't get around it. Holy hell! And the Shining Knight, I hate that guy. If you take the Shining Knight out of this and you take Plastic Man out of this, I would like it a whole lot better. You know, but
well, and the thing is even when I was a kid, I think the appeal is obviously you've got these superheroes, but they're set in this World War II time period, and the technology is so quaint, and like Robotman. It's like 1930s futurism, right? Like they're trying to imagine what a robot would be like, and so it's so much more quaint than what we would think of now. And that's, I think, the reason. Like, this concept is great. The All-Star Squadron is a great idea, right? It's just that the actual execution is terrible, I think.
I still have a fondness for it. I still,
of course.
And I love that Solomon Grundy's there, and he gets to punch some people, and there were a couple good fights. So I'm going to be forgiving. I'll give it a 5 out of 10.
Yeah. Like I said, the actual rating is like a 3, but because I love the concept so much, I could maybe give it a 4.
But I really like the art too. I like Buckler stuff. So.
Well, see, for me, I know that for me, I love Jerry Ordway, so I would give those a higher rating. But this art's okay, but it's not great to me. It's just okay.
All right. So overall, you're giving it a 4?
I'll give it a 4.
All right. I'll still go 5.
Okay.
For childhood nostalgia.
Sure, of course. I have nostalgia for this era too. I never read this issue, but I've read a lot of All-Star Squadron.
See, I was excited to read this. I'm like, well, maybe I'll start reading All-Star Squadron. Nope.
No, exactly. And then I had to like struggle through the first 3. Like I said, I was skim reading them by the end. I just couldn't get through them.
Yeah, I flipped through them too, but I didn't read them. But,
Right.
So there you go, All-Star Squadron, my second and final DC book that I will ever select for this podcast. That's it. We're done.
Well, before we say anything more, I just got to point out there are other comics set in this era by other writers like Jeff Johns did Justice Society. Like James Robertson did a series called The Golden Age, which was really good. Okay, but you're not going to.
Wasn't there also something called Infinity Inc.?
Infinity Incorporated. That was written by Roy Thomas. That was the Justice Society's children.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, like starting in, what was it, 84, 85? So it was like Green Lantern had Jade and Obsidian, and then Hawkman had a stepson named Northwind, I think. And a few other ones, yeah. It was pretty cool. Also, art by Todd McFarlane.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah, maybe we'll have to do one of those one day.
Not a fan of early McFarlane, so.
No, it's not great. It's really amateur, to be honest. But here's the thing, Mike Dell. My pick for next week, you're not going to believe what I'm picking, okay?
All-Star Squadron 4.
No. But I just got to say, okay, remember how I said I wanted to do a tie-in with whatever movies are current, and I said, well, we can't really do Birds of Prey because there's no Birds of Prey comics from the Bronze Age, right?
Okay.
So I did some digging, okay? And we're going to do the Huntress's first appearance, which is coincidentally All-Star Comics number 69, featuring the Justice Society of America.
Ah, nice. All right.
Yeah, so it's like a companion to this All-Star Squadron, right?
What year is this?
So this is 1977.
Oh, okay. I like 70s comics better.
There you go. And it's written by Paul Levitz. Are you familiar with Paul Levitz?
I am not.
He wrote Legion of Superheroes for years. And then he became
hate the Legion of Superheroes.
There you go. Perfect. And then he became DC's like president, I think, for like 20 years. And so he got back into writing like 5-7 years ago, and he's actually still really good. But he was actually the first guy to write Justice Society in like the modern era. And then Roy Thomas took over, I think. Or maybe it was Jerry. Yeah, it was either Jerry Conway or him. But anyway, so this is early Justice Society revival. So it's a perfect companion to All-Star Squadron.
Who draws it?
It is Joe Staton. Do you know Joe Staton?
Wasn't he the guy you said got in trouble?
I don't think so. No, Joe Staton. He's still around. He
Okay. Who was I thinking of that got in trouble for doing?
Oh, child porn. That was Gerard Jones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, Joe Staton. I had you confused in my mind. Oh.
No, Joe Staton. I don't even know if you know Joe Staton. He did like Green Lantern.
Yeah, that's how because we mentioned him during that.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yes.
Did he draw any of those, or did
he drew? Yeah, Joe Staton.
Pie Face. He drew
the origin of Pie Face.
That's right.
And then he also, he did. He also drew Justice League Detroit, that whole era.
All right. Well, any guy with a history to Pie Face is all right in my book.
All right.
I'm a big fan. So. All right. So what is that? All-Star Comics 69?
Yeah, I'll send you the link. Yeah.
All right. Thank you for that.
Looking forward to this though. Yeah, it's got a lot of our favorites in there. It's got Dr. Mid-Nite, it's got Starman, it's got Hourman, Wildcat. It's going to be great.
I don't know who Wildcat is, but I like Hourman.
There you go. All right.
All right.
So yeah, I guess that wraps up another episode of Flea Market Fantasy. We are available on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, all from the Comic Book Syndicate. And is that it? I think that's all we're available, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it. And so, this is your favorite comic book podcast that reviews Bronze Age comics. It's a different comic every week, randomly. Well, not randomly, but what's that?
Well, Michael, every week when we end these episodes, I'm always thinking you need a little catchphrase at the end.
I've already got one ready.
Oh, you do? Because I was going to tell the people that Mike L. appeared on the LCS Hockey Show last week to discuss Grease 2 with us. And I was thinking maybe you could take something from Grease 2 as your little sign-off catchphrase.
Really? What's that?
I don't know. I thought...
Oh, okay. See, because I was just going to sign up with, here's looking at you, pie face. Remember, that was your idea.
Yeah, but that's not good. We need something. Can you think of anything off the top of your head from Grease 2?
Oh, I mean, what's...
Well, you can give it some thought, maybe. But,
I'll sleep on it, but I'll tell you this: it's definitely going to be something that Johnny Nagarelli says. Okay.
All right.
So how about this one? Disperse. Till next week. Disperse. How's that?
That's pretty good. Yeah, okay. That's not bad.
How about we can let our listeners vote? Okay.
Yes.
There you go.
Vote early, vote often.
Yeah. I'll try to come up with one or two other ones, and then we'll let them vote next week.
That sounds good. I like that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So I guess that's it. Until next Tuesday and every Tuesday after that until the end of time, this has been Flea Market Fantasy. See you next time.